guys, I'm with Morton to talk about the new album Without the Pain, which will be released on the 11th of April on Snake Farm. So thank you, Mark, for having us.
Of course, thanks for your time, Helen.
First of all, I read on the press kit that you said, I've been waiting my whole life to make this record.
Yeah.
So why did you wait for so long?
Well, I think it's been a process for me to kind of get to the point where I felt the confidence and the independence to make this kind of record. I made my first solo LP, Anesthetic, which came out in 2019, I think, and that was like my first published work outside of Lamb of God, as a solo artist. And while it was very different than Lamb of God, and that was the point, I think it was still kind of tied to metal roots and metal influences. And having had the experience of making that record and gaining the confidence in my ability and in learning that my audience was willing to go there with me, I think it gave me this kind of sort of creative freedom to feel like I could lean into what is truly the music that I'm a fan of and the kind of music that I listen to and have been a fan of really my whole life. And that's kind of at the foundation of my playing as a guitar player. I've always felt like I'm a blues player first. And that's just the way I feel about it. So for me, it wasn't really uncomfortable at all to pursue this kind of music. It was more, it felt like something I finally could do after waiting for a long time to get the opportunity.
Okay. You said I'm a big fan of this kind of music. Which artist give you the envy to do this kind of music or to play this kind of music in blues or?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many. There are modern artists like Blackberry Smoke and the Marcus King Band and the Black Crowes and that kind of stuff. As far as modern artists, and then there are more classic Southern rock and blues bands like the Allman Brothers and Leonard Skinner and Molly Hatchet and that kind of stuff. And so Government Mule, Warren Haynes is playing is really incredible. And so really, there's a large swath of artists that have really sort of influenced me or inspired these songs.
Okay, and like Anesthetic, so though you say that it was released in 2019, it's a really personal album. Making this kind of album is it like a need or like a therapy?
Yeah,
because it's personal subject.
I think some of it's personal, some of it's not at all. I mean, so I think the songs are just the songs. I think sometimes there are songs that wind up being really personal. The last song on the record, "Home," is extremely personal. And, there are components of "Brother" that are lived experience, and "Without the Pain" has references to parts of my life. But then songs like "Hell and Back" are really just a cool kind of story, and "Come December" is not a personal experience; it's a story.
Okay, a really nice story.
Yeah, that one's cool.
The song is very cool.
"Nocturnal Sun" is just very abstract. So is "Forever in the Light's" pretty abstract as well. So I don't think they're all like directly autobiographical in a sense like that. There are components, and songwriting's such a strange thing because sometimes there are lines in a song that are lived experience, and they may appear in a song that isn't entirely autobiographical. So just because a part of a song is directly related to something from a songwriter's life, there's songs that are collaborative, so different people adding different things, and really it becomes more about the song than it does what maybe inspired one or another part of it. It's a weird kind of thing. But in the end, it becomes this unique thing, and if it when it works best is someone listens to it and they make it about their own story, and that's when it works best. And how genuine or authentic it is to a direct lived experience is less important than it being a genuine and authentic representation of a feeling or an emotion.
Okay. Unlike Anesthetic, which was more rock metal, this one is more southern rock, blues.
Yeah.
Well, you said that you are a fan of this kind of music, but why did you go to this direction? Why did you? Why didn't you keep on playing rock or?
Yeah. Well, again, I think doing Anesthetic allowed me the freedom and the independence and the confidence to do this record, which is, I think to a degree Anesthetic was still tied in terms to heavy metal in a way, which is where my fan base has been, with Lamb of God. And so I don't think I could have made Without the Pain when I made Anesthetic. People wouldn't have understand. There's so much about it that they wouldn't have understood. They wouldn't have understood why I'm making a record that isn't Lamb of God. They wouldn't have understood, it would have been too much of a stretch. But I think what Anesthetic did, and this wasn't really a strategy, it's just how it wound up happening, but I think what Anesthetic did was kind of establish this notion that I'm doing work outside of Lamb of God. And then with that established, I did an EP called Ether that had a lot of acoustic stuff on it. And then, that kind of preceded this. So I think it was just a process. It wasn't a strategy or really I think I just, over the course of those events, I started to allow myself to really make the record that felt closest to me. And this is that record for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And like the first album, you have a lot of special guests, really good special guests. How did you choose them? And did you write the song thinking of someone in particular, or did you want to collaborate with some artists and you contact them and you write the song with them from scratch?
Yeah. So most of the songs, a lot of the songs were written with the person that I worked with. Some of them weren't. Some of them were written. A few of them were written beforehand and then presented to an artist who, chose them or decided to sing those songs. In a lot of cases, the people that I wrote with and the people that I recorded with were people that I was friends with. In the course of what's been a really amazing career so far, is I've gotten to meet a lot of really talented people, and I'm lucky enough that I have super talented friends that text me back and answer the phone when I call. So a lot of people picked up the phone and said yes, and I'm just so grateful for that. So when I look at the roster, the list of people on this record, honestly, I feel grateful that I get to be a part of that list. What I mean? Not the other way around. I look at that incredible list of people, and it's amazing to me that I get to be making music with them.
Can imagine. And did you know them all personally, or
not all?
No,
not all of them, but some of them.
Okay.
Most of them, and the ones that really, for the most part, the ones that I didn't know. Are some, I didn't know Jaron when we started writing together, and Jaron's become a really good friend. Same with Cody. We met under the idea of writing a song together, and I talk to Cody regularly. So made some really cool friendships in this process. Yeah. But most of the people I already knew. Troy Saunders from Macedon I've known for decades, and Charlie Starr I've known for a very long time. Travis and I are really good friends. On down the line.
Okay. And in the first album, from the first album to this one, you change all the guest, the artist. If there's a third album, do you like to play with the same, or do you imagine to change the people you work with?
Hard to say. I don't know. haven't given much thought to it. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to see what kind of songs come together.
Yeah.
You know? maybe I'll torture everybody and I'll start singing.
Okay. Did you, well, the album is different, the artists are different. Did you work on this album in the same way like the first one, or the writing and the recording were different? How it worked?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like there are similarities and there are differences. I think probably the primary difference, other than obviously the style of music, was that I think for my part, the song concepts were much more open-ended that I brought into the process.
Okay.
I think when I was writing and recording an aesthetic, it was my first time making a solo record, so I felt like I had a responsibility to have the songs very defined and very clearly arranged and clearly set up, so that it was, you know, it was just a matter, so that the song I was bringing in to the artist or to the session was done in a sense, and very easy to see what the parts were. And this time I didn't feel that responsibility. In fact, I felt almost compelled to leave them open-ended and leave them lots of space in them, so that there was room for the people I was working with to add more of their own ideas and personality. I mean, that certainly happened on Anesthetic, but I think it happened significantly more on this record, just by nature of the fact that the songs that I brought in were less complete, and that wasn't laziness or unpreparedness. It was really more like this idea that the less restrictive I feel about where the song is at, and the less possessive I feel of the idea, the more open it is to different perspectives. And I think seeing if that had a more interesting outcome, and I think I like that version of doing things.
Okay. We see on the video, brother, you are in the same room. Well, you share the music.
Yeah.
For the recording, and with the COVID, we had some new way of working with that distance. For this album, you were all in the studio to work or to record, or not especially.
It's a process, right? So you write first and you do demos. So a lot of the people that I was writing and recording the songs with, where we would do demos first, and then once I had demos put together, then there was a recording session for about a week out in LA where I put a group of people together that recorded the music.
Yeah.
And that was done together. You know, drums, bass, guitar, and keyboards were done in the same session, and much of that at the same time in the same room. And then we took those sessions back to Nashville and put a lot of overdubs and solos and vocals on it. So that's a pretty common way of doing things. And that's how we did it. So it was done in several different sessions, and a few of the songs were done where the vocal was sent because the singer couldn't be with us in Nashville or whatever, and that was cool. I mean, we're all sort of operate at a level that, you know, we understand how to do it either way, you know. I think it's ideal when we're in the same room, and you try to do that as much as you can. But when you can't, it doesn't mean all is lost, you know. It just means it's a different process and a different kind of communication that I think we're all familiar with, you know.
Okay.
Those of us that do this stuff.
And what do you prefer to?
I'd much rather be in the room with the singer, not because I feel like I need to direct or give input, but just because it's exciting to see it happen.
The feeling.
But then, you know, there's sometimes I'll be at the session, but I'll leave the room because I can't stand when someone's in the room when I'm singing, recording, or a vocal or a guitar solo. Sometimes you don't usually have to clear the room because, again, there's sort of an unspoken vibe. You can tell if someone needs to just work with the producer on the part to get it, and I don't mind stepping out for a little while.
Okay.
Or sometimes, if it's easy, then you can hang out and watch it go down. You kind of know how to read the room when you've done this for, I don't know, 25 years or something.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit more about Brother with Cody Jinks, about the songs and the video?
Yeah, so, the song kind of speaks for itself. It's just about this unfortunately universal kind of notion that families very often have some component of the family that's estranged or that has a conflict that they can't seem to resolve. And we framed it as brother, but it can be sisters or parents and children. We all know someone or have someone in our families really that have that kind of disconnection that they can't seem to get over. And so the song speaks to that. And the video was really cool. Cody and I, again, we talk a lot, and we knew we wanted to do some kind of visual for the thing, and so we were sort of kicking back video ideas back and forth. And he mentioned that him and his band, that's his band you see in the video, it's his touring band, they were going to be out in Colorado doing some writing and some rehearsing and just kind of jamming. And he's like, well, we're all going to be together out there. You want to just come to us? And that sounded like a great idea to me. So I went out to Durango, and we spent a day just kind of jamming the song and filming the video. So those aren't the guys that recorded it, other than Cody, obviously, recorded it with me. But the guys all learned the song, and we jammed it and had a good time making the video.
Okay. And what about the cover of Lynyrd Skynyrd? You said that this is one of the bands you were a fan of. So the Needle and the Spoon with Neil Fadden. How did you have the idea of covering this song in particular with Neil?
So
and why Neil on this?
Yeah, well, I've known Neil forever, so I love Clutch, and we've toured together multiple times, played a bunch of festivals together, and I made some music with JP, the drummer for Clutch. So I've kind of had connection with those guys for some time. And so I knew I wanted to work with Neil. It was one of the last things that came together, so our schedule didn't really allow for us to write an original song and give it the kind of attention that we would both want to give it. So we agreed to do a cover, and the album didn't have any covers, so I thought that would be cool to have one. So we talked about a couple songs and narrowed it down to this one.
Okay. So you have a lot of beautiful artists with you. But there is one artist you dreamed to work with, and you didn't yet.
Oh, I don't know. It just depends on the song, I think more than anything, there's lots of people I'd like to write with, but I don't know. I don't want to narrow it down to just one. There's plenty of people, We'll have to
you don't want the other to be sad.
Yeah, we'll have to see what comes next,
Okay. So the last question, I saw on your website that there were no concerts planned for the moment.
Yeah.
Is there something coming up, and we will have the chance to see you in France or in Europe?
I don't have anything booked other than we will be doing a solo show. The Lamb of God does a cruise ship called Headbanger's Boat, and the solo band's been playing on that every year, so we're going to do that. I'm sure we're going to put something together probably around that same time frame. I would love to, I've heard a lot today about, there's a lot of interest in this record in France in particular. There's just been a bunch of press around it, and so it sure would be fun to come play here. We don't have anything scheduled yet, but I'm gonna bother Olivier and try and get his connections put together, see if we can get some kind of show happening.
Okay, finger crossed.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much for this interview,
and
we hope to see you soon, maybe.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.